Welcome everyone to NXTV. We're going to start the show off because I feel like I need to acknowledge all of you who like our Facebook page and follow our Instagram. We have grown exponentially over the last week. We're at like 120 plus likes on Facebook and 20 followers on Instagram. So thank you all for doing that. We're getting questions every week to answer, so we're pretty excited about how big we're starting to get. So I want to say a special thank you to you. This is our review episode. We're going to go over what happened on NXT, NXT UK, and 205 Live this week. Let's get right into it. We're going to start off with NXT, and it starts off the way that I really felt like it probably was going to. We did see beforehand that Kyle O'Reilly was going to start off the show, and that made a whole lot of sense. He still didn't get the answers he was looking for, though. He was upset about being kicked in the face at Vengeance Day by his best friend. Made a whole lot of sense. Finn Balor was upset about it. And he came out and he's like, "You're not the only one that got kicked in the face. I want answers, too." Roderick Strong tried to come out and play like devil's advocate. You know, a whole lot of the mediator here. He's like, "Look, you're upset. I understand. Adam was upset. I understand. You know, we need to get back to being who we are. We're the Undisputed Era. We've been around for, you know, almost 4 years." So Roderick was trying to play the middleman. And, you know, Kyle was like, "I don't know if I can trust you either because, I haven't known you as long as I've known Adam." You know, so it was a whole lot of hullabaloo with them, hollering at each other. Then they get attacked by Pete Dunne and Oni and Danny, which, it makes sense. They saw an opportunity, they took it. And that sets up for a tag match later on between Finn and Kyle and Roderick Strong and the brand, the For the Brand people. The first match of the night was Shotzi and Ember versus Candice and Indy. I like that. I really do. The Dusty Classic is over, and Shotzi and Ember are still a team, which is what I was pleading for. I really wanted them to stay a team. And taking on Candice and Indy and defeating them really lets me know that they don't plan on abandoning this team anytime soon, which is great. It gives Shotzi and Ember something to do while this women's title match is, this women's title picture is playing out the way it is right now. Also, Austin Theory is found in the middle of this match, which is pretty cool. It was a little surprising because I thought this was going to last a little bit longer than it did. Johnny was out there doing commentary, and the white van pulls up. We don't see Dexter, but he is found. And he looks super happy about whatever he had just been doing. It looked like he had just come back from vacation to Disney World. He's out there and, he's still tied up with his hands and whatever, bound by with what do you call them, zip ties. And but he's wearing this like vacation shirt and some khaki shorts or underwear or whatever he was wearing. But he was super happy about being where he was, which is, it's typical Austin Theory. We're happy to see that he hasn't lost his smile. But it's cool to see that he's back. I'm glad that the story's continuing. Leon Ruff gets a victory over Isaiah Scott, which, wow, okay. Leon Ruff is, man, he's so talented. He really is. He's so talented, but like, the dude weighs 60 pounds with bricks in his pocket, right? And you figure Isaiah Scott being as well-known as he is and as talented as he is, that he was going to pick up the victory here and get back on his winning ways. Nah, that didn't happen. And he didn't take it well. He laid a whooping into Leon after that and said, "I'm tired of you getting all these shots that I have to fight for." So, all right, we see where you're coming from. Then we have Casey Catanzaro and Kaden Carter going over the Robert Stone brands, Aaliyah and Jessie Kamea. Makes sense here. I'm really I don't know why I am supposed to care about the Robert Stone brand anymore. Robert hasn't had a mic since he's been back on TV, after being gone for months. But he's still out there. He's still doing his thing, but he didn't even get really involved in that match. Like, with the exception of a few, jumping up the apron type things or whatever. But you have this gold mine in Robert Stone. We all know his capabilities on the mic. We've seen him in Impact for years, being a member of the Bromans and all that, right? Why is he not given the mic now? Why is the story not focused on the fact that he has done what he has to do to get his girls back on TV? But Casey and Caden picking up the win here, it makes sense because nobody cares about Aaliyah and Jessie right now. And that's sad because they're both incredibly talented. But they pick up the victory, and then Casey is walking back up the entrance ramp, and Xia Li is there and gives her the same black mark that was given to Xia when she, started this whole transformation. And she basically tells Casey that next week, I'm going to purge you. That's ominous, but okay. If it gets Xia and Casey in the ring together, I'm here for it. Then we have a cup presentation to the winners of the Dusty Classic. MSK comes out, and they are just as awesome as ever and happy about it and seeing their name. And then we have the first ever women's Dusty Cup winners coming out and being as excited as they are, but also still cocky, if you understand what I'm saying. And they're like, yeah, of course we won. We're excited to make history, but of course we won. And then we see Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler come out. Ooh, this is awesome. They come out and they are like, congratulations, you made history, but that's as far as you're going to get. They talk about how they are, the most dominant force in WWE, and honestly, who can argue with that? But MSK and Beth Phoenix kind of go sit in the corner, and they are munching on popcorn and just enjoying the showdown. I mean, who isn't? If I had popcorn, I'd have been doing that at the same time. But they're talking and basically going at each other, and Nia's talking about how she's the biggest, baddest you-know-what, that Dusty, told her that, and then Raquel's like, yeah, but he never met me. And I was like, oh, no! And then MSK's over in the corner doing that, oh, no! And then they basically talking back and forth, and we find out in 2 weeks they're going to challenge for the titles. And they say, basically, Nia and Shayna say, basically, that they are coming to NXT to do that. Thank you. Thank you. While it makes, we would probably get more views on that match and more eyes on NXT if they had come to Raw to challenge. But the fact that they're willing to step back and the only place you're going to see this match is on NXT it's a blessing. It really is. Thank you, Nia. Thank you, Shayna, for coming back home to do this. They're walking up the ramp, and Raquel says to Nia, hey, be careful what you wish for, because I'm going to shove this boot so far up your hole that you're not going to be able to find it. I was like, oh no, she went there. She went there. Nia is never going to live down my hole. It's awesome. I'm sorry. That right there, it had me laughing, and it dang near killed Wesley. He was on the ground, and he was seasoned from that one. Anyway, Kushida goes up against Tyler Rust here. And that's amazing because I really feel like Tyler Rust is the future of NXT. He has already come out the gates and put on incredible matches. And Kushida to take him on when he's not really 100% from that match he had with Johnny just like 3 days ago. And he basically put Tyler into a hoverboard lock, and Tyler refused to submit. So Malcolm Bivens had to throw in the towel for him, as you say. And that, to me, shows a little bit of a crack there between Malcolm and Tyler, which honestly, I like Malcolm. I really do, but I think I am his only fan. And I really feel like Tyler could be better on his own. But he still put on an incredible match with Kushida, but Kushida can put on an incredible match with a hay bale. Then we have the singles debut of Zoe Stark going up against Valentina Feroz. And let me tell you, Zoe Stark, what a debut. What a debut. She put on a great match and hit this finishing move that was like a reverse flip-diddy-flop, go to sleep. That I'm like, whoa, what was that? And I went back and watched it about 6 or 7 times, and I still couldn't catch everything that happened there. And I'm telling you, if she keeps hitting that move and keeps picking up victories that were as dominant as this one, I'm saying by the end of the year, she's going to be in the title picture. Just, I feel it. She's, I don't know how she is on the mic yet. We haven't heard her say anything. But more victories like that, and I don't see her being able to be stopped. The last match of the night was Pete Dunne, Oney Lorcan, and Danny Burch versus Kyle O'Reilly, Finn Balor, and Roderick Strong. They picked up the victory here, the Danny and Oney and Pete. The reason for that is because Adam Cole had to come and get involved. And I feel like that was the right move. I feel like Adam really needed to cement that, look, man, it wasn't a fluke. It wasn't done because I was in the moment. It wasn't done because I was emotional. It was done for a reason. And then he gets in there and picks up Finn's title and smiles. So we know why this happened. He didn't say anything, but we know why. Moving on to NXT UK. This was actually an incredible show, probably one of the better ones I've seen in a while. It starts off with A-Kid defending the Heritage Cup against Shaw Samuels. And that match, Shaw picks up the first pinfall pretty quick. I think it was in the first or the second round. The first round. And so you figure A-Kid is going to, he doesn't have an answer to Shaw. But he ends up picking up the victory anyway with a pretty wicked submission move. I mean, looking at that submission move that he had, it was a pretty wicked move. He picked up basically where, it was like a chicken wing sort of, where Shaw Samuels, I thought his shoulder was going to come out of socket. And it was pretty cool. I mean, it was, he obviously, he submitted pretty quick after that. But, I mean, that shoulder was, it was there. Ben Carter goes over Josh Morrell next. I thought this was going to be, you can't say a squash match when they're both the size that they are, but I thought it was going to be a pretty quick victory for Ben. Josh Morrell actually showed that, look, man, I may be in, and I hate saying an insider term when I'm not a wrestler, but, I may be enhancement talent, but I'm really going to come out here and I'm going to show that, I belong here. Then we had a press conference with Mako Satomura and Kaylee Ray. And, we can't have an NXT UK without Sid Scala being on the screen sometime. I like that they kind of combined it to here, where we only had to put up with him for, 3 minutes, and he had to act like he understood Japanese. But whatever. I'm excited for this match. I feel like this may be where Kaylee loses her title. And if she does, it was a heck of a run. But I don't see her being able to pick up the victory with Mako Satomura. But I know that we're in for it. We're in for it. I mean, that whole match could be the hour-long episode of NXT UK in 2 weeks, and I'd be okay with it. Dani Luna makes her return-ish. But she comes back out, and she goes over Aaliyah James. By the way, I like that last name. But Dani Luna picks up the victory here. Pretty strong showing from both of them, but it needed to happen where Danny picked up the victory. She had her vignettes. She's, kind of repackaging herself a little bit, and it made sense here. The main event. Man, I miss NXT UK takeovers. This match could have headlined that one, and it'd been, I don't know, man. These two went at each other. Rampage Brown and Joe Coffey. And one of the very few times that I was sucked in for the whole match. It was just insane. Rampage Brown picks up the victory over Joe Coffey. Was that the right move? Maybe. But the Iron King is losing his throne. He's not picking up victories that he should have picked up. But can you be mad at him losing from that finishing move that Rampage hit on him? No. I don't think Walter would have gotten up from that. And Walter gets up from everything. But that match, man, do yourself a favor and watch NXT UK from this week. Do yourself a favor and watch NXT UK every week. But if you don't watch it every week, go back and watch that match. 205 Live. Kurt Stallion, Mansoor, Jake Atlas, and Ashanti the Adonis defeated Bolly Rise. All four of them. And man, I feel sorry for Bolly Rise. I love these guys. I love them so much, and I want them to win, but I don't want them to win because it is always entertaining when they don't. And it seems like they get upset with each other, but then the next week they're back to being besties, and they're trying to pick up these victories. They tried it with half the team in half the team, and they tried that for 2 weeks, and they couldn't pick up the victory, and they're like, well, hell, let's just all get together and do this. And they still can't pick up a victory. But when you're going up against Jake Atlas and Mansoor and Kurt Stallion and Ashanti Adonis, I mean, that four-man team can beat, pretty much anybody. So it made sense that they didn't win there. Then we had Arya Daivari because we can't have a 205 Live without Arya Daivari. And then we had August Gray because we can't have a 205 Live without August Gray. And we can't have a 205 Live without August Gray versus Arya Daivari somehow. But Arya, of course, picks up the victory because that's just what he does. Tony Nese gets involved. He's on commentary for some reason, but I did like it. He was really good at commentary, so I think he's got a career after his career's over. And that's all we have for the NXT review portion. Now we're going to get to the question and answer portion. We have 5 questions here. I'm going to try to get to them as quickly as possible. Not that I want to downplay the questions at all. I just know myself, and I know how much I love to talk wrestling, and I know that I'll probably drag on, but I don't want to do that here. I want to just answer the questions so that we have room for these questions every week. We have a question from Brandon. Brandon asks me, who is the greatest NXT champion ever? That's a very, very hard question to answer, Brandon, because there has been some great ones, and they have moved on from us and gone on to become champions in their own right. It seems like everybody that was an NXT champion has gone on to the main roster in order to win gold somewhere. Even Bo Dallas. Bo Dallas was a great NXT champion. He went on to the main roster to win tag team gold. You look at guys like Big E Langston, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Aleister Black. You look at all these guys. Well, has Aleister won gold on the main roster? I don't think so. Okay, so most everybody has gone on to win gold on the main roster. But so asking who the greatest NXT champion ever is, I have to look at who elevated the NXT title the most. And the guy that really comes to mind that elevated the NXT title the most, Andrade. Andrade elevated the title a lot. It seemed like he was legit proud to be the champion, and every time he defended that title, that match was insane. It was insane. People are still talking about his match with Johnny Gargano, and this is like 3 years later. I got to give it to Andrade. And a lot of people will disagree with me on that, and if you do, shoot me your comments and shoot me your reasons why. I mean, I love to talk about it. We have a question from Lori. Lori said, who is the most underutilized star on NXT right now? That question is very simple for me to answer, and the answer is Bronson Reed. That guy is incredibly talented. He is way too talented to not be on TV every week, and the fact that he is not is a crime. It's a crime. I fully believe that Bronson Reed is I mean, if he's not NXT champion worthy, he's at least North American championship worthy. We saw that in that ladder match that he had, that I felt like he should have won. But he didn't, and he's just not being used now, and it kind of upsets me. A question from Barney. He asked, who is the best NXT champion in history and the best NXT women's champion in history? Barney, we already answered the first half of that question earlier with that question from Brandon, but as far as women, y'all are killing me here. Shayna Baszler. Shayna, two-time NXT champion, had incredible dominating runs both times. And when she lost it the first time, she didn't lose it for long, and she went back and got it back from the person that she lost it to. So, I gotta say that, I mean, Shayna two-time. You know, that's all you really have to say, is that she is one of the first, I think she was the first person to hold the NXT Women's Championship twice. I mean, Charlotte did it too, but she did it second. So, I gotta go with Shayna Baszler here. Barbara asked me a question, what happened to Chris Adams and the Fabulous Freebirds? She went old school here. I guess she was watching when I answered the question about where I got my start in being a fan, and I was attending a lot of WCCW shows out in Dallas at the Sportatorium. Chris Adams, I believe, I know he's passed away. I think he was shot by a friend of his or something when he was awaiting some trial here with some troubles that he had. He had a lot of legal problems, but if you don't know who Chris Adams is, you're missing probably one of the better technical wrestlers of the 80s. Not really a huge superstar on a grand scale. I know he wrestled for WCW for a while, but in the territory days, in the Dallas area, Chris Adams was probably, I wouldn't say he was as popular as the Von Erichs, but he was up there with the Von Erichs as far as popularity that he had. The Freebirds, I know that Michael Hayes is employed by the WWE. He went on to have a pretty long career after he retired from wrestling, as a manager, as a backstage interviewer. He was Doc Hendricks. He would hate you if you said anything to him about, if you called him Doc. But he was a backstage interviewer. Then he was, of course, a manager for the Hardys back when they got their start, things like that. And I know he also had a long career writing for the WWE. Terry Gordy and Buddy Roberts, they've both gone on. Gordy, I think he died when he was probably late 30s, maybe 40 years old. I think he had a heart attack. His daughter still wrestles. His daughter wrestles now, Miranda Gordy. And Buddy Roberts passed away. I think it was back in the early 2000s, but it was a heart attack or something like that he had, or pneumonia or something like that. But he died when he was fairly old. So that's what happened to them, Barbara. Kevin asked, what happened to Enzo Amore and Big Cass? Man, who cares, honestly? But if you want to know, Enzo started can you call it a rap career? He had an album. But he's doing anything he can to stay relevant. I think Big Cass has ended up teaming back up with him on the independent scenes. But, both of them were kind of garbage in the ring, but they were great on the microphone. Well, Enzo was great on the microphone. Big Cass, no. Anyway, that's what happened to them, Kevin. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing right now, but they're doing whatever they can to stay relevant, and it's not working for them. I don't think we will ever see them back in the WWE, and if we do, I hope it's like in a gimmick battle royal and that's a one-off. You know, I wouldn't mind hearing, you know, he's 7 foot tall, you know, one more time, you know, how you doing? But I don't think we need them back for any long period of time. So that's all we have. If you have questions, please ask. I love talking about wrestling. If I get so many questions that I can't stick it on the end of an episode, I'll go live and just answer questions with somebody. So keep them coming. I love talking wrestling. You know I do. But until next time, remember, we are NXT.